When Avatar: Fire and Ash was announced, the reaction online was split before a single frame was released. On one side, there was certainty. James Cameron doesn't miss. On the other, a quieter but growing question. Do we still need Avatar? This film didn't just arrive in theaters, it arrived into a debate. Because Fire and Ash isn't just another sequel, it's a stress test for blockbuster cinema, for visual spectacle, and for whether awe alone is still enough in 2025. Let's break down what the internet and critics are really saying, and why this movie might be more important than it looks. Before I continue, please subscribe the channel and like the video. Alright, let's go. Avatar has always been an unusual franchise. The first film didn't dominate pop culture through quotes or characters, it dominated through experience. People didn't walk out saying, "Remember that line?" They said, "I've never seen anything like that." James Cameron bet everything on immersion, and it worked. But here's the problem with betting on immersion. Once the miracle becomes normal, the magic fades. By the time Fire and Ash arrives, audiences already expect photorealistic alien worlds. Floating mountains don't shock us anymore. Bioluminescent forests don't stop the conversation online. The bar Cameron himself set has become the floor. And that's exactly where the criticism begins. Let's start with the one thing almost everyone agrees on. Visually, Fire and Ash is insane. Even critics who didn't like the movie admit this. The environments are richer, darker, more aggressive. Pandora doesn't feel like a paradise anymore. It feels volatile. The fire in the title isn't just literal, it's thematic. Lava fields, ash-filled skies, scorched ecosystems. This is Pandora wounded and angry. In premium formats, IMAX, Dolby, 3D, audiences describe the film less as watching a movie and more as being dropped into one. And that's why general audiences are responding so positively. For many viewers, this is exactly what they paid for. They didn't come for subtext, they came for scale, for sound, for spectacle that makes your phone feel embarrassing afterward. But critics, they're asking a different question. The main critique repeats again and again, just phrased differently. This feels familiar. Not bad, not incompetent, familiar. The structure echoes previous Avatar films. Outsiders, conflict with human forces, internal Na'vi divisions, environmental destruction, emotional loss, a climactic battle that visually overwhelms everything else. For critics, this repetition matters, because Fire and Ash is over 3 hours long, and when a movie asks for that much time, expectations rise. Several reviews point to pacing issues, long stretches of world building that don't always move the story forward, new characters introduced with huge potential but not enough depth, villains that look terrifying but don't linger in the mind once the credits roll. In short, critics aren't saying the movie fails, they're saying it doesn't evolve. And this is where the Rotten Tomatoes split becomes interesting. Critics land somewhere in the mixed to positive range. Audiences, meanwhile, rate it significantly higher. That gap tells us something important. Audiences judge Avatar by how it feels. Critics judge it by what it adds. And those are two very different scorecards. For fans, the emotional beats land, the action delivers, the scale justifies the runtime. Some even argue this is the most intense Avatar yet, darker and heavier than the others. For critics, the question is harsher. After nearly 2 decades, should Avatar still be relying on the same narrative fuel? But here's the part of the conversation that gets overlooked. Fire and Ash might not be trying to reinvent itself. James Cameron has never chased trends. He ignores algorithms. He ignores Twitter cycles. He builds exactly the movie he wants at exactly the scale he wants and dares the industry to keep up. In a cinematic landscape dominated by multiverses, quippy dialogue, and IP that feels engineered by committee, Avatar almost feels stubborn. There's sincerity here. No ironic distance, no meta humor. The movie takes itself seriously and dares you to do the same. That alone makes it stand out. Online reactions reflect this divide perfectly. Some people call it boring, others call it overwhelming. Some say it's the weakest Avatar, others say it's the most emotionally intense one yet. All of these reactions can be true at the same time because Fire and Ash isn't designed to be consumed in clips. It doesn't live well on TikTok. It doesn't generate memes. It demands your attention for 3 uninterrupted hours, and in 2025, that's almost radical. So what does Avatar, Fire and Ash actually represent? It represents a filmmaker doubling down on spectacle in an era that's drifting towards content. It represents a belief that cinema should still feel monumental, even if the story underneath is familiar. And maybe that's why the reaction is so split. If you believe movies should constantly reinvent narrative language, this film will frustrate you. If you believe movies should make you feel small inside a giant world, this film delivers exactly that. The real question isn't whether Fire and Ash is good or bad. The question is whether cinema still has room for movies like this. Movies that don't chase relevance. Movies that don't apologize for excess. Movies that assume the audience will sit down, shut up, and look. James Cameron is betting that we will. And judging by the box office, the audience score, and packed IMAX theaters around the world, he might be right, even if the critics aren't convinced. Because love it or not, Avatar, Fire and Ash proves one thing. The age of spectacle isn't dead. It's just controversial now. And maybe that says more about us than it does about the movie. That's for today. Please subscribe for more videos. See you in the next one.